cap stuff, but when it comes to Lost Judgment and the Judgment whole thing, I actually was surprised to know that the dubs of these games are absolutely excellent. And if you know anything about dubs, or maybe you don't, they have this weird reputation where the English voiceover doesn't translate as well as Japanese. But I just noticed that a lot of the performances came off natural. Like, for example, if you hear somebody saying, like, I don't know, like one of the streets in Yakuza, Tenakaichi Street, they're like, Tenakaichi Street, and they're like, Tenakaichi Street. It's none of that stuff. It's none of these, like, weirdly cartoon, over the top, cringe pieces of dialogue. Like, there are times, like, maybe the voiceovers aren't matching the lips and things, and then there's times where the voiceover actually matches the lips of the characters, and that's definitely good about it. Also, like Kaito himself is a very good voice actor. I noticed that Yagami's voice actor wasn't bad.
You are about to experience the James Rambling Show, hosted by James Patton.
Hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Show for yet another episode. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be dabbling into a lot of video game stuff again now. I think last week I did talk about Like a Dragon Nation and how I finally beat that game and got to the final chapter, the final boss and stuff like that. So, like, compared to last week, with all of that stuff about touching grass and the whole chop walk situation, I will be kicking things off with how I replayed the two Judgment games recently, and a bit about how I've been dabbling into eBay and things of that nature. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, right, Lost Judgment and Judgment, right, I did a review of this like a year ago. It was the first time I ever played the games, decided to put a review out. But recently, I had this curiosity where I was like, okay, what are the English dubs like of these games? Because I noticed, right, I played the game in Japanese first, because that's kind of what you have to do just to see the original language. So if you don't know, the two games have an English dub. There's also the Kaito files, which I did actually replay a few hours ago, finish replaying a few hours ago even, where I did dabble into its English dub to see what it was like. And if you don't know by now, I did replay the Yakuza games in the past month or so. So I went from Yakuza Kiwami, Kiwami 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Yakuza 0. And so I got this curiosity, and then I was like, let's just replay Judgment, Lost Judgment after Ishin. And I've got to say, right, when it comes to that, right, I know we just kind of have to recap stuff, but when it comes to Lost Judgment and the Judgment whole thing, I actually was surprised to know that the dubs of these games are absolutely excellent. And if you know anything about dubs, or maybe you don't, they have this weird reputation where the English voiceover doesn't translate as well as Japanese. But I just noticed that a lot of the performances came off natural. Like, for example, if you hear somebody saying, like, I don't know, like one of the streets in Yakuza, Tenakaichi Street, they're like, Tenakaichi Street, and they're like, Tenakaichi Street. It's none of that stuff. It's none of these, like, weirdly cartoon, over the top, cringe pieces of dialogue. Like, there are times, like, maybe the voiceovers aren't matching the lips and things, and then there's times where the voiceover actually matches the lips of the characters, and that's definitely good about it. Also, like Kaito himself is a very good voice actor. I noticed that Yagami's voice actor wasn't bad either. And so to say the least, right, another point that I want to kind of stress here is that, right, how did I actually feel replaying these games? Well, I have to say that I actually feel the same way I did when I played these games the first time. So what do I mean by that? So Judgment, I still hold highly as one of the best, maybe the best Yakuza spin-off they've ever done, because I know there's a bit of slow combat, there's a lot of tailing missions and whatnot. It has the longest Yakuza prologue of all time. It has a 5 hour prologue where, you've got the prologue for a couple hours and then a chapter for like a couple more hours, or 2, 3 more hours. And so you kind of have that, and the game can take a while to get going. But what's good about this game is how it's actually more simple than the first game. You get introduced to the mole Kuroiwa right away. you get to understand this whole thing, and it proceeds to the final chapter where you get the reveal that it was this guy called Kuroiwa. You get that amazing final boss where it's in two phases, and it's just an amazing game and a lot to appreciate about it. And so then you get into Lost Judgment, right, where yes, I did relate more to the theme of bullying and stuff like that, and I know the first game kind of dabbled into government corruption and sort of like dementia and things of that nature, but having that bullying side of things, it made it more relatable. And even this one scene in the English dub, right, where this teacher is explaining this sad bullying situation, I almost kind of cried because the emotional impact was hitting me. And even in an English dub, it was still quite compelling to listen to, and stuff like that. And I think that there's this the suicide stuff and the bullying's very good, and it's quite a touchy topic. Then actually staging a sexual harassment is like a risk that you never expect, because do you think they would talk down sexual harassment in this game, and they just slightly touched on it, right? But they made it so that the guy that's like Kuwana and this old guy called Ihara, they're both like staging this like groping at this train station, and it just made this reveal happen. But when it came to the final boss of Lost Judgment, I still feel the same way even in the English dub, right? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you fight this guy called Kuwana at the end. He has this interesting perspective on justice. He has this idea of how he kills these 7 bullies, and he's like, yeah, that's so awesome. And then Yagami's like, no, I disagree with you. That idea is interesting. But this character called Soma is amazing. He's like this guy that has this knife, and he's part of the Red Knife Association and things, and he's kind of like in the shadows and this theme, and you're in this refrigerator, and it was an amazing fight. It was awesome and stuff. But once you get to Kawana, who's supposed to be the final boss, and you've already fought him a few times before this, so when you go up to this thing, right, you climb up this like part of a building, part of a warehouse, and at the end, it's literally just you just drop kick him off the end, and he walks away. And it's weird because Yagami like strangles Soma in this refrigerator, right? And then you just see him sitting down like this, and it's like, what the hell were they doing? And for a game with such amazing combat and such relatable themes, the fact that they had to like pretty much diminish the entire experience by making this final boss feel rushed, right? Of course, there was build up for this character, right? He was trying to get at you. You were trying to tell him to stop doing these things, stop killing these bullies, and trying to get away and hide away. And he's like this handyman and in Jinsho and stuff. And there's a lot to go into. And so I'd say for the most part, these two games I still actually feel the same way about. But the dub didn't change my mind at all. I even think the dub was good. So that surprised me. So the Kaito files, right? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the expansion to the Lost Judgment game where you play as Kaito, this character that was with Yagami. And pretty much, right, there's like 4 chapters here. You get to investigate this thing about this woman that Kaito is like in love with in the past, and then there's this dude that's connected to like this other kid called June. There's this whole thing going on. And I say that I would still say that I enjoyed this, but to say the least, it does kind of recycle combat from Yakuza 0. Like, for example, like Kaito's combat is the same as Kiryu, where he's doing the brawler and the beast, and he's like, boom, 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 boom. And I think Kaito as a voice actor in English and Japanese is amazing here. Also, the final boss, right? The weirdest thing about this is how the voice actor of Yong Ye is the final boss of the Kaito files. And what's interesting about this is because we cover the drama around the Yong Ye situation with Like a Dragon Gaiden, and people like, oh my god, he ruined Yakuza and he destroyed the franchise because his voice is bad or whatever. But here he actually sounds pretty natural. And just spoiler warning here, at the end of the Kaito files, right, you fight him over this love over that lady that you were trying to find at the start of the game, and it was really weird and cheesy. Like, he was like, I wanna love this lady and we're gonna fight fists, and you just see him like ripped, like he's like been at the gym, and he was fighting, he was going to the gym and preparing for this situation. And it was good to see that, and also the quick time events were nice. Like, The thing I kind of didn't want to fully dabble into was the how in Lost Judgment there was these times where you have these quick time events where you're pressing all these buttons on the controller and it's really fast, it's really annoying. Well, in this game, in this one quick time event, right, you had like X or B or A or Y, and it was like, okay, you got one button to choose from. So it was good to kind of cut that out. But even in Lost Judgment, the fact that they actually decided to do that was annoying. Like, who is actually going to do that? And a gripe I have about Lost Judgment, especially the Kaito files, was this one tailing mission. Now, in the original Judgment, I'm somebody that didn't hate the tailing missions as much as everyone else. Like, I can see the understanding of how it drags the story on, but we're a detective trying to, like, track down people, so obviously we have to tail people a lot. So but what I mean is, like, there's this like percentage bar where if the person sees you and it goes up too high, you have to do the whole thing all over again. And it was just this guy like rambling to this woman, and it was just annoying. And so I'd give the Kaito files like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 compared to Lost Judgment and Judgment. So I would still say Lost Judgment and Judgment are like miles ahead of Ishin. So once you get outside of that kind of stuff, right? There is something that I do want to talk about how I've actually become an eBay addict. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, right, as of late, I've had this curiosity again where I'm scratching this itch. Maybe I can get some like Yakuza games off of eBay. And if you don't know anything about eBay, it's this site where you can do auctions, but it also acts as a delivery service where you get your Royal Mail, you get the parcel, and you wait a few days or whatever, 3 to 5 days for the postage and things. And so I'll just show you right now that I actually got some Yakuza games off of this. And one funny thing is how there's this unavailable version of Lost Judgment, and I ended up getting two of the same game. So if you don't, I've got them here. I've got the games right here as I speak. So here is the Lost Judgments I got, and I don't know why I got two, but we can always sell that at some point. So if you don't know, audio listeners, that's the two copies. One says Xbox One on it, and one says Xbox, and both of them say Xbox Series X and Xbox One, and that's kind of a rabbit hole I don't want to dabble into, is how Xbox has a weird naming convention. So you know, with PlayStation, it's PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, 3, 4, 5, or Xbox, it's Xbox, say Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Xbox XXX, blah 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 blah. I love Xbox, but that is a gripe I have. So I'd say, so I tested this out, right? I made sure that these actual games actually work. And for one of the games, the game wasn't booting up properly. And I was like, oh my god, did I just get ripped off here? Restart the Xbox, right? And it absolutely works. And so there's that, right? But I also got Yakuza 7. But I didn't expect this, that there was going to be Arabic writing on it. So for audio, I'll just put this right up to the screen. So you can see a little bit of Arabic writing. And I got this from a place in East Lothian, Edinburgh, which was like 90 minutes away from Glasgow, right? And I wasn't expecting it to be in this kind of Arabic situation or whatever, like a little bit of writing of Arabic. But it is a steelbook of Yakuza 7, and just look at it, it looks so freaking cool. And with infinite wealth around the corner, the fact that these games came out, or even not these games, all this stuff got delivered to me before Infinite Wealth came out, is just poggers, man. It's just freaking awesome. So you've got that kind of stuff. I've also got the Judgment one, but I'm glad that these games are actually functional and I didn't get ripped off on eBay. And people will think I'm crazy that I actually bought the stuff off eBay. Why didn't you go to the real game store, James? Why didn't you go see it for yourself? I just wanted to dabble in the e-commerce market a little bit, you know? Might as well try it out, see what it's like. And so there's this copy of Judgment as well that I got, and I tested it out. It boots up perfectly. But there is an issue with the casing, so for audio listeners, right, there's this like crack in the bit of the casing, but it didn't destroy it. And I've actually had pre-owned games where, you know, some of the games are look a bit rusty or clanky. So this isn't the first time I've ever experienced this. So I'm not complaining. I know I'm washing all this money down the drain right now, but I don't see it as washing money down the drain. Some people might see it as that, but I just love Yakuza, and the fact that I managed to get these physically is amazing. Also, there is some RGG stickers here as well that I got with the games, and I actually put a Ryogaku Tokyo Studio sticker on my Xbox as well. So I'm really shilling for RGG right now, and we're going to be talking about Yakuza 8 in about a week's time, 6 days' time, I believe. There's that. So we've got an eBay addiction going on. I actually also have ordered a 4K little camera thing for the podcast. So we might be upgrading the quality. I hope this actually works and we don't get ripped off on eBay, because otherwise I'm either gonna have to like hook up Amazon or hit up Amazon and say I need to get a 4K camera that's actually good, or go to like an official tech store if this doesn't work, and maybe I might be washing money down the drain there. It was only like £12 or £13, so there's that. But also, I do want to double down on eBay, because in the background for audio listeners, there's this like Yakuza Zero poster that I got as well. I just went crazy on eBay, and I just wanted a Yakuza Zero poster. Reason why it's not a poster and it's not a cover of a game or a physical copy is how the only way you can play Yakuza Zero on an Xbox these days is the Game Pass, and it's because it only came out in 2020, and the PlayStation copies came out like way before they like all the stuff to do with like the Game Pass, like the Yakuza 5 and all the remasters were 2021 in this 2020-2021 era. So I never got the chance to even get it on a physical release, and I wouldn't buy an entirely new console to even actually, get all these games physically. I love Yakuza 0 to death as well, and so I just thought, okay, I love Yakuza 0, might as well get that. And I think I ordered a Yakuza 7 poster off of eBay. It is in Japanese, but I know it probably says Ryugaga Togu 7 on it. It's coming like a day or 2 days before Infinite Wealth. So there's definitely that. I do want to double down on some more gaming topics, because this thing happened where, right, I cannot believe this right now. So I know how we've just been ranting and raving about like physical media and saying, it's awesome to get these games physically. And I know I'm somebody who kind of like peddles this idea, okay, digital media is cool and you get to play, get all these options, but physical media, you actually get to physically hold it in your hand and slide the disc into your console, and it's just satisfying. So the reason why we're bringing this into context is because, right, this article came out, or this whole news thing came out, where this Ubisoft executive, right, was telling gamers to get comfortable with quote unquote not owning their games. And I will link the article below. It's from the Gaming Bible. So it says here, big video game company executive keep winning the hearts of gamers worldwide with comments such as "get comfortable with not owning your games." Right, and I know I'm somebody who pays like £16 a month for the Xbox Game Pass, but I wouldn't throw away physical media like this, and so it's really BS, right? So they're just babbling on about. It says, where's it? So it says, as reported, the gamer Ubisoft told eventually got comfortable with not owning CD or DVD collections, and the shift in mindset needs to happen with gamers in quotations. Right, one of the things we saw is that gamers are used to a little bit like DVD having and owning the games, right? And it's gotten this spicy controversy around it, and the people are like, the articles have been written and stuff. And so there's this quote here as well. That's kind of the main problem. They don't want to make a game for gamers like they want to make one which they will buy, right? And that's true. Like Ubisoft is launching this whole subscription service and stuff of like this kind of digital thing. I know PlayStation has done their own version of the Game Pass now as well. Like I think that happened a year or two ago. So I know digital media is on the rise, and I know it's ease of access where it's too easy to make these digital copies, and physical media you actually have to try now. Like you actually have to go on eBay, you have to go here or go to the store or make sure the stock there's enough stock for the actual thing. It's not like physical media has actually died or anything. It's just the demand for it nowadays is kind of different because of the digital era, and even AI and everything like that is kind of stomping this idea. We shouldn't get a physical copy of a video game, and to me, it's actually bullshit because like I said, you want to have this game physically if you really enjoy it, right? So, for example, if I was to go play a game just to test it out, I wouldn't buy it physically. But somebody who loves the Yakuza franchise, I'm obviously going to buy a poster, obviously going to buy a game, obviously going to buy the physical copies and everything like that. So there's definitely that where we've just wrapped ourselves back into the Yakuza cocoon here, and we've wrapped ourselves back into that gaming cocoon. But another little thing about this whole gaming sort of another round of episode is how this streamer got to play Yakuza 8 early, and his name is XQC. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, recently, right, there was this whole thing that came out about this streamer called XQC, who's this famous streamer on Twitch. He got to play Yakuza 8 early, and I actually saw this. I didn't actually see it, right, quote unquote. Just take this with a grain of salt, right? I didn't see this, but I actually heard that the Yakuza 8 engine got leaked on Twitter, and all these people are getting this game early, and retailers are selling it out quicker than expected, and all of that. So be careful out there, man, because people are gonna get spoiled. I feel like I even saw karaoke at the top of my YouTube feed for Yakuza 8, but I was like clicking not interested. I cannot care about. I don't want to hear the ending of this game until I actually play it. I've seen the trailers, but they all feel out of context to me. So let's double back in, right? I just wanted to add to that. I just wanted to throw that in, right? So let's get in over here, right? So XQC, because I want to establish context as well. So XQC Yakuza 8. Now, personally, before I get into the articles here, I actually think this is kind of stupid because let me pause this. What the hell just happened? Something happened to my LED light. I just realised there was like a power cut out while I was recording this, and I paused it, and I'm glad I did. Like the LED light just randomly turned off. So let's get back on. I know seems unprofessional for 100 episodes plus, but right, there's this whole XQC thing that was happening where, right, he got to play the game Yakuza 8. I just thought it was kind of random because he's not this guy that's like passionate about the series. Like if you told me it was somebody that was like very very passionate about it and got to play the game early, like I understand the previews for like IGN and these gaming articles, they get to see what this game has to offer, this journalism where, they actually do this consistently. In terms of XQC though, right, I actually know him from this guy. He's like does these reaction videos on Twitch, and he's like, "Oh, this thing is happening. Oh my god, guys, look at these things that's happening," and all that. And he's kind of one of those people. So it just felt like they were randomly reaching out to this creator, and I would have went on and about an article, but I don't think I need to read an article to state my opinion on this. And so that is kind of the episode today, right? It's been another interesting mix of topics which have been a completely consistent theme. There was a power cut out towards the end of the episode, so this has been quite the episode for you. So hope you enjoyed this episode and stay tuned for more like it. We'll be coming at you for more episodes like this in the future, of course. We'll be coming at you for Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Yakuza 8, Like a Dragon 8, Lad 8, whatever you want to call it. We're coming back next week for that, so stay tuned. So yeah, bye. Hopefully we get that 4K camera as well next week, so we can dabble and get a 4K camera as we talk about peak gaming. Bye.